Yo, what's going on everybody? It's your boy Big Gilly. I haven't posted on my YouTube channel nearly as much as I hoped this year. It's just been so insane. Craziest year ever, 2024, man. It's gonna be a year for the books, to say the least. Give me a moment. I can't have the chair over there killing the vibe. So look, check it out. Today, I wanted to make a video about a topic that is very near and dear to my heart. If you know me personally, you know how seriously I take this, how much I work at it, how relentless I am when it comes to my studies, and that this is a huge life goal of mine. If you don't know who I am, my name is Gilly. I speak 6 languages. I would like to say high levels of proficiency. That means I don't need English to express my thoughts when I'm in these languages. I'm not perfect. I have a lot to improve on in all of these languages. Even my English is not the best, bro. But I'm not, by any means, like majority of these YouTubers claiming to be fluent in languages when these people are a million gadillion miles away, okay? I'm somebody who I'm gonna keep it a buck with you. I'm gonna keep it 1,000. And that's kind of that. Now, today the topic is 10 realities of studying Mandarin Chinese that nobody tells you. Some of these I'm sure you've heard of before. Others, definitely probably a little bit newer. Maybe something that somebody who actually has studied Chinese will truly understand if you've studied in great levels of depth, I would say. So the name of this video is going to be 10 harsh truths about studying Mandarin Chinese that nobody tells you. Now, to give you a little bit of background about me, I started studying Mandarin Chinese very seriously in January of 2022, and ever since then I've taken non-stop courses from, now it's been I think 4 or 5 different universities. I started in a community college, I went to a state school, I'm now in a private school, I've studied abroad in Taiwan and China, back-to-back summers. I've been relentless with it non-stop. And there's a lot of things that I think people should truly know and truly understand and absolutely be willing to accept before embarking on this journey of studying Mandarin Chinese. Oh my gosh. So my first one. Alright, you're gonna suck for a very long time, okay? Your Chinese is gonna be bad for a while. And what do I mean by that? Well, to give you some perspective, when I say I've been studying intensely, I've been studying minimum, I would say an average of 3 hours a day, damn near every day for the past 3 years. I've had certain extended periods of time where I study 5 to 8 hours. For example, when I go overseas to study in Taiwan or mainland China, I've always been studying that amount. Lots of practice online, taking classes at every opportunity I can. Even when I'm in university, I take online class. I don't know anyone who's been as hungry as me when it comes to learning this language in these past 3 years. And I've been to a lot of intensive programs, and I can assure you, just to give you some perspective, you really are gonna suck for a long time. And when I mean suck, I mean, if you want to get to near native levels of fluency in this language, it's going to take you a seriously long amount of time. You have to accept that. Especially if your language, your mother tongue is English. It's just going to take, I don't want to say forever, but it's going to take a very long time. You got to humble yourself immediately. This is a totally different way of looking at life. I'm talking, I'm going to get to these points later, but it's just a totally different way of thinking. So vastly different in every way you can think of from English other than the grammar. And in order to wrap your head around this, you're gonna need time. Your brain is gonna need serious adjustments, and that's gonna take time. There's no other way that you can speed this process up. You're gonna suck, okay? At least for the first year, I couldn't even speak. I could read a lot of words. I would say the most common, maybe 800 to 1,000 characters. I knew them well to the point where I could write them down and things like that. But you gotta accept that right now, okay? It's not gonna happen quick. I learned Spanish within a year to a very high level of proficiency. I was working as an interpreter in hospitals within a year. Portuguese, I learned that in a matter of months, maybe 3.5 months, to a very similar level. French, I would say 7.5 months. Chinese, I'm nowhere close, and I've been at this for 3 years nonstop. So brace yourself, it's gonna be a long ride. Second point is you're going to be treated like a spectacle. Now, what situations will you be treated like a spectacle? I went to mainland China over the summer. Anytime I said anything, people were telling me, Chinese people are very polite and they will encourage you. They'll say, oh, your Chinese is so good. You're amazing. You're a genius. I've never seen a La Wai speak this good Chinese or something like that. But the reality is, you know you're not good. So don't listen to other people giving you these compliments. They're just excited to see you. You know you're not good. You have to keep working at this if you want to get anywhere even close to the level of the person you're talking to who's a native Chinese speaker. And some people, this will really go to their head. They'll really think they're fluent, but they're not. It sucks, you know, sometimes you say 2-3 words and people will already be giving you compliments like you're some type of genius, but you know you're not, and you know you're nowhere even close. That comes in all different types of contexts. People will just treat you like a spectacle for being foreign and speaking Chinese. Now, how you take that, it really depends. Some people make a career off this. You know, shout out to Xiaoma NYC. You know, he sucks at Chinese and he made a whole career out of this. I went to the same program as him. I attended Princeton in Beijing over this past summer. And it's true, I think the level of motivation of my peers in that program was a little higher than normal, but everyone was bad at Chinese. Even in the second to highest level, I think everyone was bad. Some of them were better than others, but a lot of these people have been studying Chinese way longer than me. I'm talking like a decade, 15 years, nowhere close. Let's be real. And to some people, maybe that will sound very harsh, but it's just a very long journey to get good at this language. 活到老，学到老. You literally have to do that if you want to get anywhere in this language. So brace yourself, and people will treat you like a spectacle. That's a good feeling in a way, but it's something you're gonna have to get used to. And that brings me to my next point about work opportunities and doing business in China. Now, when you're treated like a spectacle, what happens? A lot of people aren't truly taking you seriously when you're speaking this language. I've truly, honestly, only seen a handful of foreigners speak excellent Chinese. A handful, ever. Most of these people are famous. Most of these people are online. Most of these people, they put endless amount of work into their craft. You know, somebody like Da Shan, somebody like Le Fa Li. You know, these types of people, like I think Zhu Lian, he's a French guy, incredible Chinese. Like these people, if you want to get anywhere close to that, it's going to take a long time. So imagine you trying to go to Asia and doing business or working to any capacity with Chinese companies in Chinese language as a foreigner. It's going to be very difficult to get them to take you seriously unless you are literally incredible at Chinese. And it's incredibly rare to get to a level like that. You can do it. I need everybody to know this is a possible feat. It is very possible to get extremely good at Chinese, but people don't understand how much work this truly is. Going to Asia and doing business, the probability of you doing that, especially as an American citizen right now, is incredibly low. Okay, US-China relations are not the best. That's going to be one of my points later. And also, a lot of work, I would say, related to the China field right now is going to be in government. Maybe you can work at a think tank, this type of work. Research is good as well. But you getting jobs based off of your ability to speak this language as a foreigner is second to almost impossible, I would say. But I'm not saying it's impossible. You just have to put in ungodly amounts of work, and you need to be very relentless with what you do. So the opportunities to go to China and do business right now, I mean, like, I don't know anyone who's done that. I don't know anyone who's achieved that. I would say most of the work is in government right now. And even then, going to mainland China right now and staying for an extended period of time and coming back to the United States to work, okay, very few people can do that successfully. As in come back and work in the federal government because of the clearances and other complications that come and are associated with staying in mainland China for extended periods of time. Another point I would like to make is you will always be a foreigner. Now, for example, in a country like the United States, in Canada, France, Australia, we have these ideas of, for example, another person, an immigrant, can come to our countries, learn our language, learn our culture, learn our way of life, and they basically become like us, right? They basically become Americans. You know, I'm Iranian American, so my parents came here, and I basically became an American by default for growing up here, learning English, going to school, and being educated in English. But the reality is, in China, no matter what you do, you can speak Chinese exactly as well as them, but you will always be a foreigner. So some people might take that the wrong way. Some people might feel like, oh, these people don't truly like me, they don't accept me. It's not that. This is just this is just a different country. This is just a different way of rules. This is just a different society. You need to adjust your mindset and just understand that that's not necessarily a bad thing, but it is very harsh to realize, wow, I'm literally always going to be seen as a foreigner no matter what I do. You could marry a Chinese, have mixed kids, speak incredible Chinese, try to be Chinese, dress like a Chinese, it doesn't matter, eat like a Chinese. You'll always be a foreigner. So just always keep that in mind. You will also be given certain benefits of the doubt for being a foreigner, which in some ways is nice, but you will never be held to that standard, which is another topic which I think is fascinating and maybe worth talking about one day. Another point that I would like to make, and I think I've touched on this already, is just reaching near native fluency or proficiency in Chinese, it's beyond rare. I think less than 1% of people who study Mandarin Chinese ever get to anything close to that. The standards in the United States, especially in universities for languages, are incredibly low. For something like Chinese, it's crazy low. If you want to get to somebody like a Lele Fali level, a Da Shan level, you're talking about decades of work. Decades of relentless study, decades of dedication, decades of travel, interactions, embarrassing moments of you thinking that you understand something that you don't, speaking wrong. It never ends, but you just have to keep this thing going if you want to get there, or if you want to get to any type of fluency that is comparable to a native. The tones, at first I thought the tones weren't that bad, but they get bad. Like, if you want people to actually take you seriously, the tones need to be better than the average, I would say. Your vocabulary, the extent of the Chinese vocabulary, I can't even fathom how, I can't even express in words how literally vast it is. It just takes so long to develop that type of vocabulary. So brace yourself, okay? Don't come into this thinking you'll get to native level proficiency even in 5 years. I'm being real. Another one is just the cultural differences and the cultural shocks you will experience are appalling. It's not just, oh, wow, I went to a restaurant and people don't have any forks or knives. I have to use chopsticks. That's the least of your problems, okay? I'm talking about people's values. I'm talking about the way people live life, the way people view education, societal norms, ideals of society, these types of things. These are all things that you need to experience and learn yourself through travel in China, through education in Mandarin Chinese, and interacting with native speakers and other people who are truly Chinese. I haven't even gone through all of the culture shocks, but I can't think of a place more different than the United States than China in this way. So you absolutely must brace yourself for that. The cultural differences are appalling. And it's in ways I can't even describe. It can be even from you trying to order something off a menu and you will be shocked for what actually comes to your table. Maybe you can read all the words, but what you thought came out of your mouth and what happened in reality was very different. And that brings me to my next point. Learning Chinese is not just how many Hanzi that you know. Learning Chinese is something beyond profound. It's like a totally new way of thinking. The way that people express themselves is just very, very, I would say, profound. There's so much depth to this language. You know how in English we say things like an apple a day keeps the doctor away, or it's raining cats and dogs? Chinese has that and a million more ways of saying it. And that's something that for someone who this is not their native language, it takes a lot to adjust to that. It takes serious time. You're talking about heaps and heaps of effort and reading the zi and being like, wait, what does this mean? You gotta dissect this thing, man. You gotta seriously take every 说法, every 成语 and break it down piece by piece to finally sort of begin to understand what the heck that means, let alone memorizing it. If you want to memorize it, be ready to dedicate even more amount of time. Another reality of learning Chinese is the HSK is a BS standard. Okay, I've seen people pass HSK 6. I don't know anyone personally who's done HSK 7, 8, or 9, Probably at that level, yeah, okay, you can finally say your Chinese is kind of good, pretty good. But HSK 6, okay, it's not a very high level. I'm not even HSK 6, and it's not very high. It's not very good. You can pass that test and still not even be able to get along or get by in daily life. There's so many cultural nuances behind this language, I'm telling you. There's so many small details or new words, and there's just so much that this language is going to give you along your way. And that's something that's not going to come from textbook material. You'll learn it in your own way, especially through interaction with native speakers, I would say. But it's going to take time. And that's really, I think, the hardest reality about learning Chinese. The number one, the time and the effort. And that brings me to my next point, which is, what's the most likely factor or element that's going to have you putting in that type of effort and that type of time? You need passion. I don't know anybody who's gotten anywhere in this language without the passion. You have to sacrifice things sometimes. You have to sacrifice times with your friends. You gotta sacrifice time with doing other activities you may have loved. If you want to actually get good at this language, you gotta seriously be working at this day and night. It could be in subtle ways, it could be actively or passively, but I think Chinese in particular, especially learning it as an adult, let alone, it doesn't matter, even as a kid, you gotta sacrifice more heaps of time and more stretches of effort to learn this language than doing anything else, than doing other languages, I would say. Maybe Arabic would be a similar experience, but you need to brace yourself for that. You're not getting anywhere without passion. And I've seen people who tell me, they want to learn Chinese for money reasons, financial reasons. I'm gonna let you know right now, if you want to learn Chinese for financial reasons, you are an idiot, okay? This is not the one-way path that's gonna get you money. People maybe 10 years ago used to think that learning Chinese was the way to get rich. You're a complete idiot, okay? Learning Chinese is not gonna get you rich. It's gonna teach you lifelong lessons. It's gonna teach you a very profound way of looking at and seeing life, I would say. But no, okay, you're not gonna get rich from learning Chinese. There's 1 billion people who speak Chinese better than you may ever will, and they're not rich, okay? Some of those people in that set of 1 billion, yes, they are rich, but learning Chinese is not the best investment of your time if you want to get rich. And then the last point is US-China relations and Taiwan. The status right now is not so hot. As you know, US-China relations are not in the best place. We don't know what's gonna happen with this upcoming presidency. It's very complex, the dynamics between China and Taiwan. So this is something that may complicate your experience if you want to travel to that part of the world and study. I'm probably going to make another video talking about my experience studying in Taiwan versus in China. I want to also start making more videos in Chinese talking about expressing my thoughts more in this language. But, that complicates things a little bit. Some people are very apprehensive. Some people are very fearful about traveling to Asia, learn or to study abroad, because of these tensions. And that also, depending on how much time you spend in a place like mainland China, coming back to the United States and trying to work in the federal government may not be so easy. These are all just things that I would say are food for thought. The overarching theme of my video is just be ready to spend serious time, serious effort, immense amount of passion, and have patience and be relentless with this. You can't treat this like a hobby. I think if you treat this like truly it's just a hobby, you'll never get there. I don't know anyone who treated Mandarin like a hobby and truly got good. I've seen a handful of foreigners ever get truly fluent and excellent at this language. That's something that motivates me even more. I don't know anyone who's also achieved as much as I've achieved in 3 years of intense study in this language. Most of my classmates right now, they've been taking Mandarin all their freaking life, or their parents are Chinese. But I've put everything into this and I'm willing to put in even more. It's something that motivates me a lot and I love learning it. There's more benefits to me that have come as a result of my learning Chinese than the negatives, but the negatives were very, very hard. And I think they continue to be difficult. But these are just some of my thoughts. I know that not everyone's gonna agree. Maybe somebody will be attacking me in the comments, but I'm just keeping it a buck. I'm just keeping it 1,000. So few people really know and have studied to this level of depth to even recognize this level of difficulty, all right, that exists in this language. So on that note, I'm gonna keep it more on a positive note probably next time when I make a video, but this is something I want everybody to know, especially with the new year coming around the corner. You know, this was one of my resolutions in 2022. I thought I was gonna get this done more or less in like 2 years. I knew it was gonna be harder than the romance languages, but not like this, man. This is crazy. This is the hardest feat I've ever attempted in life, I think. One of them, I mean, there's harder things I've experienced, but as a challenge, I want to learn Mandarin to near native proficiency. Yeah, it's crazy, bro. But I'm not gonna give up, and I hope you don't either. And yeah, this is just my world, and this is how I see it. I appreciate everybody for tapping in. Let me know if you've experienced similar things or you're having similar struggles. Let me know in the comments. This is what I can tell you as a result of 3 years of non-stop, relentless work. Taking Chinese semester after semester, every summer, traveling to Taiwan, traveling to mainland China, coming back, continuing, online class, everything, every day. So yes, that's it. I'm getting a phone call now. I'm a bit too popular, what can I say? But yeah, thanks for tapping in, and we'll talk soon. It's Big Gilly. Hey.